The night Econ
International voting is
2025
completely
stopped being
possible.
just another
You just
festival
need to
date.
plug into the right system.
No spotlight
Most
queue
of
or
the voting
pre-show
happens
announcement
through
hinted at
official
the
or
shift that
partner
was
apps
coming.
that Music Bank uses
The
for
stage
each
at
cycle.
Econ
Sometimes
2025
it's
had
platforms
welcomed
like
global
Newbie or
heavyweights before,
Fancast.
but when
Other times it's
SB19 walked out,
show-specific portals
the
that
atmosphere
open only
itself
for
seemed
a
to adjust.
particular week. The
What
easiest way
followed
to
wasn't
keep up
simply
is
a
to follow
strong
the
performance
updates
by a
shared by
rising act.
SB19's voting teams.
It was the moment
They always
P-pop moved
post
from
the
asking
exact
for
app, link,
consideration
and
to
steps
occupying
unique for that
space as a
week,
peer.
so you're not guessing or downloading
By
the
the
wrong
final
thing.
note,
Once
the
you know where the
conversation
vote is
around the
happening,
group had
all you
already
really need to
changed.
do is make an account on
People
that platform
were no longer
and verify
wondering
it.
who SB19
The apps are
was.
designed for global users.
They were
so the
asking how
process
the
is usually
industry
quick.
had managed to
Sign up,
underestimate them
confirm
for
your
so
email
long.
or basic details, and
This
you're
is the
set.
story of what
After
that night
that,
actually
it's just a
meant,
matter of
stripped
going
of
into the
easy
Music
hype and
Bank
examined
voting
for its
section
real
and
weight.
selecting SB19.
Because some
What
performances
really
are
makes
memorable.
international fans effective, though,
Others
isn't
quietly
just
redraw the
individual
map.
votes. It's coordination.
Econ
A
2025
tin around
was
the
never
world set
designed as a
alarms for
casual
voting
platform
windows,
or a friendly
rotate between
regional
time
spotlight.
zones, and keep the votes
It
flowing
functions as
even
one
when
of the
others are
few true
asleep.
measuring
Some
grounds
fans
where
even prepare
international
early
acts
by
are judged
collecting
without
in-app points
leniency.
through daily logins or
Audiences
watching
there
ads.
do not
So when the
reward
voting
effort,
period
they
opens,
measure
they
execution
already have a
under
stash
pressure.
ready to spend. And voting is
Every
only one
detail
side of
is
the
compared
effort.
in real time
Visibility
against the
matters
highest
just as
standards
much.
currently operating
Fans share
on the world
updates,
stage.
post reminders,
When
organize
SB19
hashtag
was
trends,
announced,
and
the
spread
underlying question was
SB19
precise.
content across
Could a P-pop
X,
group stand on
TikTok,
equal footing with the
Facebook,
biggest names
and
without needing
Instagram.
any
Every share
disclaimers or
counts because it
allowances?
keeps SB19
They
circulating
answered
in
that
Korean
question not with
timelines as
statements,
well,
but
not
with
just
the work
Filipino
itself.
ones. That extra
moment they
visibility
appeared
helps
carried
boost their
its own
chances
quiet
on the broadcast
declaration.
metrics Music Bank
There was
tracks.
no rush to
The
win
real
approval,
secret is that
no
nobody
visible
is
hunger
doing this
for
alone.
validation.
Fandom teams create
SB19
guides,
stepped
share
into the light with the
screenshots,
posture
run
and
group
spacing of
chats for
artists who
real-time
already
vote
understood
counts,
they
and
belonged.
help new fans who are
That
unsure where to
controlled
start.
confidence
If you're
registered
participating
immediately.
for the first time,
It
joining
wasn't
these
loud
groups
or
makes
theatrical.
everything 10 times
It
easier.
was settled.
They walk you through it step by step.
Their eye contact,
so yes,
their formation
even
awareness,
if you're thousands
the way
of
they
miles
claimed
away
the
from
stage
Seoul,
without
your vote
overclaiming it,
still
everything
matters.
signaled a
And when
group that had
thousands of
stopped
international
representing a
fans
scene and
move
had begun
together in
defining
sync,
one.
that's exactly how
What happened next
SB19
removed
stays
any
at the top
remaining
of the
space
Music
for
Bank
debate.
charts. Finally,
Vocals have
small
always been
actions
the
add
element
up.
that
A few
separates
votes from a
temporary
bunch of people
excitement
every
from
hour
lasting
become
credibility.
thousands by the weekend.
Choreography
Combine
can
daily
create
voting
spectacle,
with streaming
but
on
live
YouTube,
singing under full
sharing
movement
updates,
reveals the
and following the
foundation.
fandom's coordinated
At
schedule.
Econ
And
2025,
global pressure that
SB19
converts
chose the
into
most
real
demanding
points
path,
on Music
completely
Bank's
live
scoreboard.
vocals, no
Now
safety
imagine
nets,
SB19
no blending into
wins on
tracks
Music
to mask
Bank.
limitations.
This wouldn't be just another trophy or another
Each
nice
member
win.
carried his
It would be a
individual
moment
weight
that
while
changes
still
the story of
functioning as a
P-pop in a
cohesive
very
unit that
real way.
elevated rather
This is
than
because
hid.
Music Bank is one of
You could hear
Korea's
the
longest
controlled
running
strain.
and most respected music
You could
programs.
sense the years of training
K-pop
behind
groups
every
pour
steady
everything
note.
into trying to win on that stage.
audible effort
So if a
didn't
Filipino
weaken them.
group steps into that
It
same space
authenticated them.
and actually takes the top
International
spot,
crowds
that's history
recognized
unfolding
disciplined
right in
honesty
front of
instantly,
us.
and
A
in
win
that
like
moment,
that sends a clear
SB19
message to
offered
the entire
exactly that.
industry. P-pop isn't simply
Stage presence might
participating in the
capture
global
initial
scene.
attention,
It
but
deserves
stage
to be
control
there.
earns deeper
It shows that
respect.
Filipino artists can stand
SB19
shoulder to shoulder
demonstrated
with top
both,
K-pop
with
acts,
clear emphasis on
not
the
as
latter.
visitors or underdogs,
They
but as
understood
real
when to
contenders
restrain
with a
energy
growing
and when to
international
release it.
presence. And because
They
Music
allowed
Bank has
silence
such
to
a wide
exist
reach,
without
a
rushing to
victory
fill it.
would be noticed everywhere.
Their
by
formation
Korean
stayed precise
viewers,
even
global
during the most
fans,
demanding
industry
sequences.
leaders, producers, media
Transitions flowed
outlets,
without
and even
visible
casual listeners
calculation.
who might be hearing about SB19
Nothing appeared
for the first
accidental
time.
or forced.
The impact wouldn't
The
stop
result
there.
was command rather
Representation
than
would
chaos.
rise because millions of people would see a
When a
Filipino
group can manage both
leading
the
on a
audience
major
and
Korean
themselves
platform,
with that level of
which can
intention,
inspire younger
observers
artists
stop seeing
and change how
performers
people
and
view
begin
P-pop
recognizing
overall.
professionals.
It also adds credibility
The
to the
crowd
entire
response
genre.
became its own
A
form
Music
of
Bank
evidence.
win basically tells the
Different
industry that
nationalities,
P-pop has the
different
numbers,
languages,
the
different
dedication, and the
expectations, all
influence to
converged
compete
into a
on
single,
global
unmistakable
terms.
reaction.
That shift alone changes
Cheers
how
began before
opportunities open
familiar
up.
hooks.
More collaborations,
Applause
more
didn't wait
international
for
invitations, more media attention,
Excellence,
and
when
more
delivered
recognition
cleanly,
for other
requires no
Filipino acts who
translation.
follow. So when we talk
Midway
about
through the set, a
SB19
visible
potentially
shift
winning Music
occurred.
Bank, we're not just rooting
Phones
for
rose
one
not
group.
just to
We're
record,
watching the
but to capture.
possibility of P-pop stepping
Attention
into a
sharpened.
completely new era, one that could
The
change
energy
how
in the
Asian
venue
pop as a
moved from
whole
polite
moves forward.
observation to
And that's why
genuine
every
investment.
single vote feels meaningful.
SB19
It isn't just
held held
a
that
tap on a
focus from the
screen.
opening
It's a
moment to
moment
the
that
final
could become
beat,
part of
never
P-pop
losing the
history.
room even
Looking
as they
back
moved
over the
through
years,
complex
Filipino
emotional and
artists have
technical
definitely
terrain.
shown up in K-pop spaces.
This single
Guest
performance
appearances,
carried significance far
collaborations,
beyond its runtime.
cameos, even trainee
For
stories
years,
that made
conversations
headlines.
about P-pop
But dominating
had come
the
wrapped in
actual
careful
charts,
qualifiers,
leading
promising
real-time
for a local
voting on a
act,
major
showing
Korean
potential,
music show,
improving
that
steadily.
almost never happened.
Econ
Most Filipino acts were
2025 removed
recognized,
those
but they
protective
didn't have the
phrases.
numbers, the structured
SB19
campaigns,
did
or the
not
global
ask to be
push to take over the
evaluated in the
rankings.
future.
SB19
They insisted
situation
on
is
being
completely
measured in the
different.
present, same
What they've
stage,
built isn't
same
just
pressure,
a fandom.
same
It's a
expectations
force.
as every other
TIN
act.
has grown into a community that's
They delivered
organized,
something cleaner,
strategic,
tighter,
and
and more
globally
honest than
connected.
many had
They're not just
anticipated.
showing love. They're moving
Not by
like a
being louder
unified
or more
engine that
extravagant,
understands
but by
how
being
voting
more
systems
exacting
work,
with their own
how
standards.
trends spread, and how online momentum
Performances of this
translates
caliber
into
are
wins.
never accidental.
That kind of structure gives
They are the visible
SB19
result
an
of
advantage no
invisible
Filipino
labor.
act has ever had
Relentless
stepping into
rehearsal.
the K-pop arena. And because of
Brutal
that, this
self-assessment.
moment goes beyond the typical
The consistent
fan
choice
effort.
of growth
it
over
feels
comfort.
cultural. Every vote
Every seamless
submitted, every
transition the
streaming
audience
party,
witnessed
every
represented
hashtag
hours of
wave,
unseen
it all
repetition.
blends into one loud
Every
message
stable
being
vocal
heard around
line
the
under
world.
movement reflected
P-pop
years of
isn't just
technical
participating
conditioning.
anymore. It's competing.
SB19
it's being
did not
recognized.
rise to the
It's
occasion
being
that
taken
night.
seriously in spaces
arrived
where
already
Filipino
prepared
artists
for
were
it.
once overlooked or underestimated.
That distinction
That's why
separates
people are
fleeting
watching
viral
SB19
moments from those
so
that
closely
actually
right
alter
now.
career
It's not just about
trajectories.
topping a chart. It's about
The
proving that a
perception change
homegrown
that followed
Filipino
was
act can
immediate and
dominate
noticeable.
internationally on a platform
question
where the
shifted
world's
from who is
biggest K-pop
SB19
groups
to
fight
why
for
weren't
the
we paying
spotlight.
closer
So
attention
now the
sooner?
big question is this:
International
can
viewers
SB19
didn't
keep
simply
this
discover
incredible
P-pop
momentum
that
going
evening.
long enough to secure
They
that
began
music bank
reconsidering
win?
what they
And for
thought
those
they
who've
knew
been
about
voting
it.
nonstop, how are you
Industry
keeping your streak
observers
alive?
saw more than
Are
an
you setting
impressive set.
reminders, joining group
They
campaigns,
saw a working blueprint,
tagging along
a group
with team
operating
votes?
from outside
Tell
the
us in
usual
the
power
comments,
centers,
and let's get this
stepping onto a
conversation
global
going.
platform with confidence
If you're excited
but
about
without delusion.
SB19's rise and want more
The
real-time
message
updates,
to younger
make
artists
sure to
was
hit
clear without
like,
being spoken.
subscribe, and ring the bell.
You do not need
You won't want to
external
miss a
permission
single
to
vote
stand
because
in
right
these spaces.
now, every point counts.
You need internal preparation.
This wasn't
that
a
makes
special
permission
appearance or a
irrelevant.
quick
celebratory set tucked
What
between
SB19
fireworks.
communicated most powerfully
SB19
was never
wasn't
stated
treated as an
outright.
accessory to the countdown.
They did not
were
claim to
positioned
be the
as a
best.
central force of the night.
They simply performed
That
in a way that
decision
said,
alone
judge
speaks
us on
volumes.
merit. No
It
excuses.
signals confidence from producers
No
who
inflated
understand
positioning.
exactly what's at stake when
no
millions are watching
manufactured
live.
narratives. Nothing
Just
about
the
this
work
moment was
presented
accidental.
cleanly. In an
SB19
industry
didn't arrive
saturated
at
with
BGC
noise and
through hype or
overstatement,
trend
that
cycles.
kind of
They
discipline
arrived through
restraint carries
consistency,
unusual
discipline,
force.
and proof. It registers
This stage
as doesn't
maturity.
exist to reward artists. It
Years
exists
from now,
to test
when
them
the
under
expansion
pressure.
of P-pop onto global
And
stages is traced and
SB19
studied,
didn't walk
Econ
onto it as
2025 will appear as a
They
reference
walked
point.
on as artists trusted
Not
to
because
hold
the
moment
performance
together.
was the flashiest or the most
Long
controversial,
before the
but
first
because
note was
it was
played,
undeniable.
the pressure
had already begun.
SB19 did not
Weeks
chase
ahead of the
validation
countdown,
that night. Conversations were
They
quietly
earned
forming.
recognition through execution.
Online anticipation
When P-pop
mixed with
stood out,
directly beside the world's
fans
established
were excited,
acts,
but
but
critics
critics lingered
lingered
with
with
a
a
sharper question. Can SB19 dominate a mainstream New Year's
The
Eve
significance
crowd,
of
not
the
just
evening
their own
rests
fandom?
in
its quiet completeness.
This
wasn't a fan-only stage.
Every element, vocals, control,
was the
presence,
hardest room
adaptability operated at a level
NYE
that removed the need
audiences
for
are
explanation.
unpredictable.
The
Many
strain was
aren't there
visible
for the
but
artist,
never
they're there for
uncontrolled.
the moment. The confidence
scroll,
was evident
talk,
but never
walk away.
arrogant. Winning
the
them
connection with
requires
the audience
instant
was
authority.
real but never desperate.
And
these
no
are the
edits.
details that separate groups
No
who
safe
visit
international stages from those
One
who
missed
begin
cue,
to claim them.
one
vocal slip, one drop
What stood
in
out
energy,
most to
and
those
the narrative
watching
could
closely
tilt.
was the absence of hesitation.
This is what made the stakes so high.
SB19 moved through the set with the
SB19 wasn't
assurance
just
of artists who
representing
had already
themselves.
internalized
They were
the demands
representing
of
what
what organizers
organizers
believed modern
They
Filipino
adjusted
pop could
pacing
deliver on a national
instinctively.
scale. They directed
Every
energy
movement
with
would be
purpose.
watched, replayed,
They
dissected.
understood that this particular
Every second
audience
carried
responded
weight.
more to precision than to volume.
By the time SB19
That awareness
stepped on
is not
stage,
something
the
that
test
can be
had already
manufactured
begun
for
one night.
This wasn't
It is
excitement,
cultivated
it was
through
exposure.
consistent
discipline over time.
For on. The night also
SB19
highlighted
stood
something
under a
larger about
microscope
the
where
current moment
confidence
in
alone
music.
wasn't enough.
Traditional
Only
boundaries
execution
between
would
markets
decide
are
the
becoming
outcome.
less relevant. The opening
What
seconds
matters
of a New Year's
increasingly
Eve
is whether an
performance
act
decide
can deliver
everything.
under universal scrutiny.
There is no warm-up,
no second chance to
SB19
earn
demonstrated
attention.
that P-pop,
When
SB19
executed at its highest
understood
level,
that, and they
meets
used
that
it.
standard without
The
compromise.
first visuals didn't rush
They brought
or
the
overwhelm.
discipline of their training, the
Lighting
clarity
came
of their
in clean
identity,
and deliberate,
and the focus
framing
of their
their
members
preparation
before the
and
sound
allowed
fully
those
hit.
elements
to speak for
That
themselves.
pause mattered.
This
It
is why
created
the performance
anticipation,
continues
not
to
noise.
resonate.
It
When
wasn't
the first
built on
beat dropped,
spectacle
it
that
landed
would
with
fade.
intention,
not
It
desperation.
was built on fundamentals that
What
endure,
stood out
technical
immediately was
excellence,
body
emotional
language.
honesty, and professional
SB19
composure.
didn't overperform or
Those
chase the
qualities
crowd's
do
approval.
not
lose value when trends
Their
shift.
posture, spacing,
and
and eye
become the
contact
foundation
communicated
for
whatever
whatever
comes next.
This wasn't nervous
anyone who
energy,
witnessed
it was
SB19
SB19 at Econ 2025.
Before the first
first chorus
certain
even
moments
arrived,
likely
something
remain vivid.
shifted in the venue.
The clarity of the
You
vocals
could hear it in
during
the
the
crowd's
most physically
response.
demanding
The cheers
sections.
weren't polite, they were reactive.
The way the group held
Phones
silence
came
and
up.
used it.
Attention
visible
locked
surge
in.
in audience attention when
Camera
technical and
direction
emotional
reinforced
elements
that
locked
shift.
perfectly into place. Instead of distant safety
Each of these
shots,
details
the broadcast
contributed to
leaned
the
into
larger
confident
statement.
close-up
A scene
spaces,
once viewed through
expressions,
qualifiers had
synchronized
produced
movement,
an
act ready for direct
That
comparison.
choice
is never accidental. The story of that night
Directors
is still
don't commit to
unfolding.
intimate framing unless
What
they
began
trust
as
what
a
they're
single
capturing.
performance has become part of
It
a broader
signaled belief in
recalibration in how
SB19's
P-pop is
presence.
perceived and positioned.
Within seconds, the group
venue's
did not
energy
need to
changed.
declare their arrival. What started as a
They
countdown
simply
crowd
performed in
became
a
an
way that
engaged
made
audience.
denial impossible.
You could feel the
If
decision
you were there
being
or have
made
studied
in
the
real
footage,
time. Which element stayed with you
This
longest?
performance matters.
The vocal integrity.
Once
momentum was secured,
the stage
SB19
command
shifted gears.
the
From
moment the
impression
crowd
to
moved
execution.
from
Watching to truly engaging.
The performance wasn't just
Share your
energetic,
thoughts below.
it was precise.
This
Live
channel will
vocals held
continue
steady
examining
against
these
backing
turning
tracks
points
with the
striking
same
a
focus
balance that
beyond
preserved
headlines,
power without
beyond momentary
sacrificing clarity.
excitement, into the strategy,
On a massive
discipline,
outdoor
and
stage,
decisions
where
that actually
acoustics
move
can easily
careers
betray
forward.
performers.
Control is
The work
everything, and
continues.
SB19 maintained it
And
throughout.
the standards SB19
The
set that night
choreography
have
was
raised
clearly
the bar
adapted
for what
for
comes
scale.
next. The story of
Movements were
SB19,
expanded,
transitions were clean,
expansion,
and
is far
formations
from
were
finished.
But
Designed
when
to
the
read
timeline
from a
is written,
distance while
Econ
still rewarding
2025
close-up
will not
shots.
be a footnote.
Nothing felt
It will
cramped
be one
or
of the
excessive.
chapters that quietly changed
Every
what
step
was
served a
possible.
purpose, reinforcing
If you were
rhythm
there
and presence
or watched
rather
the
than
performance
filling
later,
space.
you likely remember a
Each
moment
member
that
had
stayed
moments
with you.
that pulled focus naturally, not
Maybe
through
a vocal
forced
run that
spotlighting,
shouldn't
but
have
through
been possible
timing and
under
command.
that choreography.
A
These
formation
weren't
change
isolated
that snapped
highlights.
into place
They
with
flowed as
impossible
part of a
precision,
cohesive unit.
or the instant you realized
No
the
one
crowd had
rushed,
shifted
no
from
one
curiosity to conviction.
There were no wasted
Those
movements,
moments
no
weren't
filler
accidents.
breaks waiting for the next cue.
They were the visible proof of a simple
When
reality.
compared to international
when
New
preparation
Year's
meets
Eve
an
performances,
unforgiving stage,
the difference
and
was
the work
clear.
holds, narratives change.
This didn't feel like a local
Econ
act scaled up for
2025
television.
was where the change became
It felt like a
impossible to
performance
ignore. Designed for broadcast,
The
tight,
story of
intentional,
SB19
and globally
of
readable.
P-pop's expansion is far from finished.
SB19 didn't perform to
But when the
survive
timeline
moment.
is written, Econ
They
2025
performed as
will
if the
not be a
world was
footnote.
already watching. It will be one of the
The
chapters
most
that
difficult
quietly
audiences
changed
are
what was
not
possible.
hostile, they're indifferent.
If you were there
Or
and
watched
New Year's
the
Eve
performance
crowds are
later,
filled with
you
them.
likely remember a moment
People
that stayed with
scrolling,
you, chatting, waiting for fireworks.
Maybe a vocal run that shouldn't have been
SB19
possible under
didn't
that
fight that
choreography.
reality.
A
They read
formation
it.
change that snapped into
Early in
place
the
with
set,
impossible
energy was
precision,
measured,
or
not
the instant
explosive.
you realized the crowd had shifted
This
from
was
curiosity
intentional.
to conviction. They let the crowd
Those
breathe,
moments
observe,
weren't accidents.
and slowly lean in. They were the visible
Then
proof
came
of
the
a simple
pivot.
reality. When
Call and
preparation
response
meets an
moments
unforgiving
weren't forced,
stage,
they were
and the work
timed.
holds, narratives change.
Short, accessible cues
Econ
invited
2025
participation
was
without
where the
demanding
change became
loyalty.
impossible to ignore.
Casual